Well, good evening. It's good to have everybody here with us tonight. This is July the 3rd, and it is right before the 4th of July. So, this is a week that a lot of people are celebrating. They're out, they're on vacation, they're enjoying themselves. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, whether it be through Facebook or YouTube or wherever you may tune in later on. We would like to wish everyone a very happy 4th of July. And we hope that everyone, it's a safe day and that you have fun with your family and your friends and that you just enjoy yourselves. Sometimes rest is a very good thing. And so we are all looking forward to that here at Gateway as well. One of the things that I want to do is I just want to continue talking to you a little bit about leadership. We've been talking about it here, but it's been a little bit different in the way that we've approached it, and that we are not giving a 1, 2, 3, 4 list, and we're not giving a law of this or a law of that. We've had all of that teaching here at Gateway for many, many years, and those are principles that many of us have taken and used and applied throughout our lives and are still taking and using and applying and seeing how they have worked to some degree, but we still are not masters at it. But we are continuing to press forward and move into that. But I just kind of, for the past few weeks, we've been talking about leadership and what is a leader exactly. And I think a lot of times that we have accepted and thought that only certain types of people could be leaders, certain types of personalities could be leaders. And I think one of the things that we've been discovering is that God has called all of us to be leaders. He's created us in His likeness and in His image, and He wants us to rule, to reign, and to have domain. And so that means He wants us to rule over our area that He has given us, and that means we are leaders over that area, whatever that might be. And so I think some of us shy away from it or are timid from it, and a lot of that is because of things that have occurred or happened in the past with leadership that maybe we thought was leaders or we called leaders, and it really wasn't leadership. It was, there's no other nice way to say it other than it was just bullying. You bully somebody to get them to do something. You weren't leading them, you were just bullying them, you were forcing them, but because of the person's heart and the nature that they had, that they wanted to serve God and they wanted to do things for God, they would do it in spite of the way they were treated or the way they were talked to or the way they were approached, simply because of what was in their heart. And so, what we found is that people continued to seek God and people continued to move forward, and some of those people were, people kind of move themselves out of that sometimes. And then the people that really had the genuine heart for that, God began to promote them because He was looking at their heart. And He put them in a place because we know that leadership is influence, but we know it's more than influence. It is influence, but how does that start? And we talk about we have to understand who we are, and out of that comes our purpose. Out of that purpose comes conviction. Out of that conviction comes what do we say comes out of that conviction? It comes, my mind just went blank. But out of that, Carl, you got that, don't you? Yeah. It's a circle. Out of it becomes our passion. And then we begin, it really motivates us and pushes us because out of that passion, and then people notice that passion that's in our life, and we begin to influence those around us. So that's how the influence comes about. Yes, leadership is influence, but first we have to understand who we are, what our purpose is, and out of that purpose comes a conviction to move in a certain direction, and out of that becomes that, it comes that you're inspired to be a certain way. You do things and you have a passion and you move that way, and you don't even understand why you do it. But the reason you do it is because that's what God put in you to do. And once you step into that and you're operating in that, out of that passion, you begin to influence everybody around you. And you can tell when somebody has a passion for something and when they don't. And so that's how leadership, that's what leadership is, basically. But that doesn't mean that once you get to that place, you've arrived. There are things that you have to do to sharpen yourself. There are things that you have to do in order to be a good, effective leader. Because how many of you know you don't just start out being fantastic? when you're a baby, you don't know how to walk. You have to learn how to crawl. You have to learn how to stand up, and then you learn how to walk. Then you learn how to run, and then next thing you're able to go wherever you want to go, do whatever you want to do. But you had to start where you were, and so we have to start where we are, because we can't lead somebody to a place where we've never been ourselves. So one of the most important things for us is that we have Apostle David. And Apostle David has been through many places. He's been through many things. And because of that, he's experienced so much. And because of that, he's able to lead us as we go through, and he teaches us and he trains us. One of the reasons that Pastor Andy sits up here with Apostle David is because he's teaching him the whole time he's up here. I don't know if you realize that or not. He'll say, "Did you notice that? Did you watch this? Watch this." And he knows it's going to happen. And a lot of times we say that, but we say, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen." Apostle David knows. And he just knows he's in that position, he's in that place, and he knows, and he'll say, "Watch this. It's fixing to happen. Watch this. Watch this." And that's what he's doing. He's teaching. The other day when we had an incident here at the altar, that was a situation where, okay, I've been around that. I've experienced that to that degree. No, I knew immediately what I was dealing with when it happened. And I was like, wow, this is what this is. And so, but Apostle David came over, and the one thing I thought is, the one thing that went through my mind, well, Apostle David's here. And then the thought went through my mind, you can't stop now. I can't just wait for Apostle David or say, "All right, you got to stop now so I can go get Apostle David." I did the only thing I knew to do, and I continued to move forward in that direction, and it continued to manifest anyway. So it wasn't going to stop. It was going to continue to manifest. And then Apostle David came over, and he said, "Say this, have her do this." And we did those things, and as we did those things, it continued to move in the direction that it needed to move. And she was able to receive the help and the deliverance that she needed. And so it's so important to have someone like that in your life. And so, but you can tell he's passionate about the Word. He's passionate about the vision. He's passionate about people and loving people. And so because of that, he's going to draw people to him that are the same way. And so that's another aspect of being a leader. We know that one of the greatest displays of leadership is service. And we've had one of the greatest examples of that. And, I keep using him over and over again, but I don't think we can use that enough. I don't think we cannot, because I think everybody here has a story that they could tell or that they know of him, is that he's not just someone who gets up here and he delivers the word, or that he's not untouchable. He is someone who serves the people. Because after a Sunday, I don't know if you know it or not, but he is wiped out after a Sunday. That is exhausting. He has served us. The praise and worship team serves us. It's like when you're up here and you're praying for people, you are serving them. And when you're doing that, it's there's nothing greater than to be able to do that, to be able to serve. But that is leadership, because the people are more important than you are. Okay? So one of the things I want to talk to you, you have to ask yourself these personal questions, and you have to be honest. And these are just a few questions. I could go on and on and on about being a leader. If you want to be in leadership, are you willing to serve? Are you willing to be patient? That's a good one. Are you willing to say, "I'm available"? Are you willing to pay the price when you say you are available? I'll just stop there. That's enough right there. There's a big difference in saying that you'll do something and then actually following through. There's a big difference in doing it time and time and time and time again, and year after year after year after year after year, when you don't get an applause, when you don't get a pat on your back, when you don't get people saying good things or great things about you, but you still show up anyway. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm not going to share names or anything, and they probably wouldn't care, but I'm not going to. But they were talking about how there was someone that was a leader, or we called a leader, and they said to this person, Um, you just need the tenacity of a bulldog. We need to give you that tenacity of a bulldog. And I said, really? They said that to you? Well, the reason they said that is because they had a real sharp bite. And what I mean by that is they were real quick to come back and say things. They had a bark. So they think that that's a leader. And I said, tenacious. I said, tenacious is somebody who never gives up. A tenacious is someone who has a goal, is set, you continue to move forward, and you will not stop no matter what. I said, you're pretty tenacious. I said, because no matter what, this is the one thing I know. Not only are you faithful and dependable, but you are definitely tenacious because you will not quit, you will not stop, you do not let circumstances stop you, you do not let how you feel stop you, whether you feel good that day or bad that day, you don't let it stop you. It says right here that tenacity is the quality or fact of being very determined and determination. You're persistent. You just don't stop. Even when it would be easy, or even when you could find an excuse, or even when other people would say, well, you don't have to do that. You do it anyway. Why? Because there's something in you that just continues to push you forward. You're not going to quit. You're not going to stop. And as a leader, you have to have that in you, because there's always going to be somebody say, well, you shouldn't be doing that. Somebody else should be doing that. Well, you should let them take care of that for you. You shouldn't be in here scrubbing these toilets, or you shouldn't be in here taking out this trash. You know what? I'm not too good to take out trash and scrub toilets and mop floors. If that's what needs to be done in order for us to accomplish the goal that we have for that day, yes, we're a team and we're working together. Do I have people that help me with that? Yes, I most certainly do. Do they come along and help me with it? Yes, they do. As a matter of fact, if they see me doing it, they're more likely to come and help me than they are if it's just sitting there. It'll just sit there for 3 weeks. But if they see me and I start doing something, then they come in and they just go right along and they'll help me. And then I don't have half the work that I would have to do. That's talking about teamwork. But that's what, see, they understand what it takes. They understand and they know what it takes. And so a leader's not looking at themselves as being above anybody else. They're just looking at, what can I do to accomplish what has to be done? Do I need to encourage them? Do I need to give them words of encouragement? What do I need to do? Do I need to come alongside and just work with them? Do I just need to come in and listen to them and find out what's going on, what's working and what's not working? What do I need to do? Because it's not about coming in and taking a leadership class or filling out your paper and putting in all the answers. It's a lot more to it than that. You're working with people. You're dealing with people, and every person is different. And every person comes from a different background, and every person has a different way of seeing things. And what we have to do is we have to get everybody where they can see the same thing. And so with some people, you don't have to work that hard with, but with some people, you really got to come along and work with them. I mean, it's almost like you just got to put them in the seat beside you and just drive them where you're going. Because if you don't, you might not ever get them there with you. You know, we were talking about it, it's real easy. Like this morning, I was talking to Robin. I said, here, Robin, help me think for just a minute. How are we going to do this today? And I wanted her input, because I know she's got input. I know she's got thoughts. I know she thinks. I know she sees. I know she knows. And so I was open to her input. But now, a lot of people wouldn't say that to her, because they would say, who am I to ask? I'm not going to ask you. I can figure this out on my own. I don't even think that way. What can I do to help you today, Robin? Robin went in and worked in the kitchen today. So what did we do? We were it was a very laborious meal today. The kids loved it. It was delicious, but it was spaghetti. And so there's a lot of steps that you have to do. And when you have to feed that many people, it's a lot. And it's got one person. And you've got to get all dishes washed and cleaned after breakfast and then get your lunch started. And you got to cook all that stuff and get it done just in time and get it done just right. And then you got to get all those dishes back out to everybody. And you've got to be able to meet all the restrictions and the guidelines, because some of them are allergic to this. Some of them can't have cheese. Some of them can't have milk. Some of them can't have bread. Some of them can't have. You don't ever know. In every classroom, it's different. And so she's got to be able to keep up with all that. Well, guess what? Because of the meal that there was a lot of extra pots and pans today that had to be washed. Am I right? So while Robin's doing that, I'm coming in behind her and I'm helping her get this stuff clean. Because I knew that if I could just walk out the kitchen and say, that's her job, she's doing that. No, my job is to help her and assist her. She helps me and assists me every day. I couldn't do what we do if she was not there. And so I'm there to go in and help and assist them. And as long as I can do that, I will. If I can't do it, it's because I can't do it. But if I can, then I will. And that's the thing about being in leadership. And a lot of people are unwilling to do that. They just think they got a title. So we'll go on from here. Motivation and ambition. That's what I was talking about right there. You have to look at your heart. You have to look at your heart. What motivates you? Why do you want to be a leader? Ask yourself the question, why do you want to be a leader? Do you want to be somebody that wants to come in and work with a group of people and accomplish something that's greater than you are? Or do you want to be somebody who just wants to come in and boss everybody and tell everybody what to do? There's a difference. And I can guarantee you, you'll never, never, never accomplish what could be accomplished with the attitude of just coming in and telling everybody what to do and bossing everybody around. If you'll go in with the attitude of there's something valuable in you and there's something valuable in you and we'll work together and this is going to be greater than what we think it can be. When you go at it with that attitude and that mindset and that way of thinking, you can accomplish something far greater than you ever thought you could accomplish. Okay. Not upset about it at all. Okay. So, so leadership, the one true principle of leadership is it is definitely not self-serving. It's not about you. It's really not about you. You know, you do have to take care of yourself. I think I've reached a point now that I realize that by not doing certain things for myself is becoming detrimental to the people I'm around. It's becoming detrimental because I can't function the way I need to function properly. And when that becomes detrimental to them and to what we are trying to accomplish, then I need to step back. Because we're good enough right now, I can let them take care of it for a day or two for me to take a day off. But this is what I know. If I can't, then there's a grace there for me to step into and for me to walk in, for me to accomplish and do. So there's a grace for you to do what you need to do, whatever it might be, whenever you might need it to be there. You know, and that's when we have to depend on the Word. We have to remind ourselves. We have to speak to ourselves. You know, David spoke to himself, and he reminded himself. We all get weary, and we all get tired. But the thing is that we have to remind ourselves why we're doing what we're doing. And why I'm doing what I'm doing, is it so that I can make myself look good, or is it because there's a greater purpose? I have to ask myself the question, because just because it looks good doesn't mean that it's God. So if I'm just doing this because I just want to make myself look good, I need to let it go. If I am doing it because I believe God has put me there or placed me there, then there's a grace for me to do what I need to do. And there's a strength for me to do what I need to do. There'll be the wisdom and the insight for me to do what I need to do. And so I can rest in that and know that I can do what needs to be accomplished. And I think that's, I told y'all it was going to be short tonight. I think that's all. I'm not going to do anymore. I just want to encourage you. I think we just need to understand who we are. We've got to understand who we are. We've been lied to. And the world, the devil uses the things in the world to distract us and pull us. And we're seeing everything where people just have no idea about things. They're identifying as cats and they're identifying as, I don't know, anything nowadays. And if we can't understand who we are, we'll never do what we need to do. And we have been lied to. And so we have got to understand who we are. And I believe that God has called us all to be leaders in our area, whatever that area might be. Don't step out and try to do something that somebody else should be doing. There's not going to be the grace there for you to do it. But if you do what God's called you to do, the grace will be there. I cannot. I couldn't be a nurse. I couldn't do it. I can take care of little bodies, but I can't take care of big bodies. I wouldn't want to do numbers all day long. It just gets on my nerves. I wouldn't enjoy that. I enjoy the things I do. I couldn't be a farmer because I don't have a green thumb. I would kill everything. I couldn't build things because even though I had problems with geometry. So I understand where my strengths and my weaknesses are. But there are things that motivate me in a certain direction. I always want to help somebody. And I'm always trying to find a way to help somebody. So he put me in a field, in an area where I can do that. See, at one time, I got hired to work at the bank. What was it, Bank of America? Yeah. And I got a job, and I was going to be a loan officer. That was my job title. And my uncle told me, he said, you are not going to like that job. He said, because somebody's going to walk in there, and they're going to need help, and you're not going to be able to help them, and it's going to upset you. And he was right, because somebody walked in there, and they needed help, and I couldn't help them. My hands were tied. There was nothing I could do, and my heart went out to them, and I couldn't help them. And I said, this is not the place for me. You have to understand where you should or shouldn't be. Could that have been a good job for somebody, but not for me? So you have to understand who you are and what you've been called to do. And I believe that there'll be a grace for you to step into that leadership role. I think other people will begin to see the passion that you have, and you'll begin to have influence around those that are around you. So, anyway, thank you for being here tonight. We love you all very, very much. And happy 4th of July. Thank you.